Great. So, hey all, we are Together Crew, and we're making a proposal called Cross-Platform Reputation. That is a response to the SingularityNet RFP for community engagement scores. Note that there is also another proposal by a different group for the same RFP. So we are in some way competing against them. Now, who we are a team that's been working together for over a year, building Together Crew. I'll explain a little bit what it is. We come from a variety of backgrounds, but personally, I've been in Web3 since 2017, being head of governance at Aragon in 2020, and then started ARENDAO and Together Crew a little bit more recently. We also have a couple of PhDs in network science and data science generally, a CTO who's come from a medtech background, and a full team of developers, designers, etc. With this project, we already been receiving grants and working with multiple ecosystems. So Aragon, Verida, Optimism, Pocket, Near, Polygon, Metagame, Web3 Foundation, that's Polkadot ecosystem, Cello, Aave, LexDAO, and a few more. As you can see, it's something that we've been building for a while. And what we did is we created a community analytics platform. So we started doing research on how do we measure community health. And for that, build data pipelines from Discord, Twitter, CSV files, now working on Discourse and a bunch of other platforms. The idea is to have this database that has a very scalable architecture where you can keep on adding more data sources, each data source with its own data schema. And all of these data pipelines can then create a resource that you can use for different data applications. The infrastructure is built for scalability. So we're already serving Optimism, 160,000 community members with providing some analytics and different advanced computations like organization network mapping. So we map who's engaging with whom, so the relationships between people, not just activity, not just engagement, but actually what's the shape of the social network. And based on that, we can derive different scores. And as I was saying, it's a modular architecture based on microservices that are interacting, so we can keep adding services and new capabilities fairly easily. So we've been researching and implementing reputation systems in DAO since roughly 2020, playing with the source code implementation back there. And I'm going to share a little bit what we learned very quickly. So the first thing is that when we say reputation, everyone has a different thing that they mean by it. Some people are thinking about just pure engagement. So this is where you're posting, liking, did you make a comment, etc. But this is simply activity. Others talk about expertise, whether you know a lot about a topic or the track record, so you can have verifiable credentials, your CV, etc., proofs of expertise. Another thing is context. So are you actually involved in the community? Do you know what's going on? Do you know what conversations are happening? Do you know what needs people have? Do you know what's happening around in the ecosystem, which is a key ingredient for decision-making? It can also be about reliability. So are you doing what you said you would do? You got a grant. Are you actually delivering on the milestones, or you disappeared and no one heard from you again? And then the other thing that is often said is social capital. So we're saying that not all of these definitions are equally good. And what we focus on depends a lot on what we're trying to accomplish. So the SingularityNet RFP is very specifically so we can have better governance. So we're trying to do better decision making. In that sense, if we are simply measuring engagements and we are incentivizing these, and the people who are the most engaged or like in the platforms are the ones who end up with most reputation power, most voting power, that incentivizes spam. So we don't really want to do that. That's already a little bit what we're seeing in the Swipe platform with all the ChatGPT comments. Expertise is very, very interesting, but it doesn't need to be necessarily in the decision-making phase. It's super important in the deliberation phase, what happens before when you're discussing. Context, on the other hand, is a particularly good indicator because we can easily calculate it with the social network mapping very reliably, and it's a really key ingredient for decision-making. If you don't know what's needed, what's happening, you cannot make good decisions. Reliability could also be good, but it's a little bit harder to track. And then social capital is dangerous because it can easily become a popularity context, if that's a popularity contest, or if that's what you're using. So what we are proposing essentially is to focus the reputation RFP on context scores that we can calculate leveraging the infrastructure that we already have. And we would expand this infrastructure to include all of the other data sources that are needed. So the Sway platform or any other bit that SingularityNet is expanding. And what this allows us is then to have that reputation context score with incentive alignment that in the phase one would be about token holding. Then in later phases, we could include other sort of reputation scores, etc., for to understand the alignment with other stakeholders. So for example, payments to account for the needs of suppliers, or marketplace usage as a metric to give governance power to account for the needs of users. Now, in the phase one, we start with token holding, the lowest hanging fruit. The reason why we're asking to vote for us is we can leapfrog the whole process. We have already a year building this infrastructure, and we can bring all of that to not only have the reputation score calculated on the Sway voting platform, but actually on Discord, on Discourse, and all the other community health metrics come with. Sorry?
If you can wrap up, that will be fine. Your time is up.
Okay, give me 10 seconds and I'm done. And we can reduce gameability thanks to this. We're not taking any profit. We split the cost between all the other protocols. We're here for the long run, and we're working with the community. So anyway, I hope you like the proposal. If you want to discuss more, just let me know.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel.